Let's talk right now about the latest woke madness, because, yeah, it keeps on a-coming, does it not? And this is the latest from a massive competition, a big British debate competition. It's one of the biggest in the world, and it's run by the Oxford Union. And the competitors at the debate competition, aged between 14 and 18, have been instructed by the organisers to specify whether they are he, she, they, etc. at the start of each round. They have to constantly do it, and anyone who fails to comply with the equity policy could face disqualification from the contest with immediate effect. Let's talk about this with Helen Joyce. She's Director of Advocacy at Sex Matters. She's also author of the brilliant book Trans, Gender Identity and the New Battle for Women's Rights. Very good afternoon to you, Helen.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
I mean, I find it bad enough that I have to walk into a store with someone with my preferred pronouns. I don't care. You're a woman. I'm going to call you she and her, end of. Nothing to discuss. I use people's correct pronouns, not their preferred pronouns, which I think is polite and respectful to both them and to me and everyone else. But the idea that a 14-year-old who's been brave enough to get into this debate competition, to give their views, to make arguments, should be basically required to announce their pronouns, I find quite outrageous.
It's indoctrination, Julia. It's really that simple. What it is telling everybody that as a condition for being in this event, they have to show they have fealty really to this neo-religion that says that you're a man or you're a woman according to what you feel like rather than what you actually are. Yeah. So it's like they're all being told that they have to say, you know, Jesus Christ died and was born again. Yeah. He died for my sins or something before they start.
Yeah, it's forced speech. It's enforced speech, isn't it? And that's it. People say, well, what's the problem? I mean, okay, so if I was in the debate, I'd have to say my preferred pronouns are she and her. It's like, well, that's obvious. My name's Julia. I'm clearly a woman. Of course, those are my pronouns. Those would be the correct grammatical and biologically correct pronouns as well. So what's the issue? But the idea that anyone needs to be told those things is that it's insulting to expect me to have to tell them. I mean, it is an affront to our freedom of speech, isn't it, and our freedom of thought.
It absolutely is, and I highly suspect that it's not lawful even. Again, if we said that the only people who were allowed to be in this debate were people who were willing to state that they were devotees of Islam or devotees of the Catholic Church or something, and that if you're not one of those things, you're going to have to say something that proves that you are, pay lip service to it, we would see straight away how discriminatory this was. So this is discriminatory. They are discriminating against the great majority of people who don't think like this. Yeah. And also it's indoctrination of kids. I mean, the youngest age range, they're 14. These are kids who maybe haven't thought about what it means to have free speech. They maybe don't know what it's like in countries where you don't have free speech. Yeah. And they know that if they, it's not just about not being allowed to take part. It's possibly about being booed or hissed or having your friends dislike you or having your teachers telling you off, because this has been framed as kind, polite and respectful instead of bullying and authoritarian.
And inclusive. And again, it's interesting that Lord Toby Young, the General Secretary of the Free Speech Union, a friend of our show, of course, he said this is unacceptable. What if the school children, he points out, are debating whether sex is an immutable biological characteristic or a social construct that's merely assigned at birth? By forcing them to declare their pronouns, as you say, it's a tacit acknowledgement that someone can become a member of the opposite sex, which they can't, I know they can't, the vast majority of people know they can't. Apparently the Prime Minister still isn't quite sure about the whole penis status of some women's pants. But this is the thing. It is forced on our kids. Most parents are completely unaware of how much gender ideology is now totally and utterly ingrained in the school system, in universities, and they just think, it's being nice. I know people who've got kids at nursery where they do pride events. Again, why sexuality is being brought up with 3-year-olds is an absolute mystery to me, that's for sure. So it shouldn't even be gay pride anyway. But I wouldn't be bringing up, mummy and daddy and how they make babies with a 3-year-old either. It's inappropriate. But I just find it very, very bizarre how this has been allowed to happen. And we know we've had some problems certainly at the Oxford Union, and a lot of, in fact, weirdly, same with America, an awful lot of the top academic institutions have been among the worst when it comes to pushing this ideology. But we need people to stand up to it. We know that academics who stand up to it often end up being pushed out, basically being told, your future, your career's over. We've seen what happened to Kathleen Stock at the University of Sussex having to leave. But we also know how hard it is for students, for pupils. But what we really need is some of them to just say, I will not say this, refuse to do it, and and we can start that trend, because we've seen that once and it's particularly women in young athletes, when they have just refused to play along with the madness of having to, box against a man or fence against a man, or recently play pool against a man, when they actually swim against a man in their own sex category, that when they actually stand up to it, it does make things change.
Can I suggest some wording for any child or young person
Yes.
who is in a situation like that? What I would say if it was me is I would say, I use sex-based pronouns for myself and everyone else, and I'm fine with other people making their own decisions about what they use.
Lovely.
And see where that gets them.
And that would be, I think, perfectly reasonable to everybody. This is what I do, and
you do you.
You do you. And that's the thing. But that's the thing, isn't it? When we're often told, often I have the reaction from people, whether it's on social media and conversations like this, they'll say, but why does it bother you? What's the problem for you? But it is a problem for us if people impose them and try and control our speech as well. Talk us through that.
I mean, they are bullying. They don't realise they're bullying, but it's often the case that people who bully do it in the name of kindness.
Yeah.
They think that something's kind, so they try to force other people to do that thing in the name of being kind. But I mean, I just want to say, no, you be kind.
Yeah.
I have my own head. I have my own thoughts inside it. I'm not telling you how to use your words.
Yeah.
Please don't tell me how to use my words. And both of us can continue quite happily like that, just as I, an atheist, can get on with family members who are Catholic.
Exactly.
I talk to people of all different religions and none, and I would not expect them to try to make me follow their creed's practices, and I certainly don't try to stop them from following their creed's practices.
No.
We just have to learn to live and let live.
And that used to be
my side is willing to do that.
Yes, and that was the thing. We're often told, well, on both sides there's been this. No, it really hasn't been. And in fact, I know a lot of women like you and me and others actually would have been using people's preferred pronouns, because we're trans people, or just because we wanted to be polite, wanted to be kind, and it was only when you get to a situation when it's forced speech, but also when a woman who's been raped is standing in court and being forced by a judge to refer to her rapist assailants as her and she, and say her penis. I think that was the point when most of us woke up and went, yeah, the time for politeness is over now. Now we're going to get back to reality. Helen Joyce, you've been fantastic on this. She's from Sex Matters, also author of the brilliant book Trans. Thank you for that. Benjamin Butterworth, look, you're woke, and we know that a lot of the organisations that are pushing this are also talking often about gay rights. We know that Stonewall, a massive, wonderfully important, crucial role in fighting for gay rights. But, gay rights, we're just asking for gay people and bisexual people to have the same rights as straight people, as I believe 100% they should, and the vast majority of people do. Trans rights is about often taking women's rights, it often ends up being. And requiring people to announce their pronouns or to use someone else's preferred pronouns, saying basically you can't take part, even as a 14-year-old, in a debate, because if you don't play along with this, that is unacceptable, isn't it?
Look, if somebody told me their pronouns were something other to what I assumed, I would go along with that. You wouldn't. But what
I would a few years back, but now I wouldn't. No.
But I do think it's strange, and I think it's an ill result to force people to declare it at the start of their debate. I did school's Cambridge Union. This is Oxford Union. Mm-hmm. It was a really worthwhile and intellectually rigorous process, but it didn't matter what your sex, or for that matter your gender identity was. That's not related to your ability to debate. It's not what you're being marked or judged
well,
on.
bizarrely it is, these kids, because if you're not willing to play along with it. But again, I don't accept that anyone is born in the wrong body. I don't accept that anybody is non-binary. I don't accept that I need to care at any point about someone's sexuality or how they identify, or they're asexual or I simply have no interest in it. It is not an interesting fact about you. It's probably the least interesting thing about you or me, and a lot of it is just frankly made up absolute garbage and nonsense. So why should one be forced to play along with it? It's that in itself is, as Helen says, bullying and rude.
No, I think transgender people do exist, and they've always existed.
No, someone who believes they're born in the wrong body and wants to live as if they were the opposite gender exist. I'm not saying that they're a figment of my imagination or mine. I'm saying they are, however, they are not in fact born in the wrong body, and a man who claims that he's a woman is not in fact a woman. That they exist, they're just not what they claim to be.
But they are, and
but they're not.
You have people.
They're not. You see, if you told me you were a woman, you would not become a woman.
I'm not a woman. I don't feel like a woman. I don't wish to be.
And you believed you were a trans woman and you claimed you were a woman, that wouldn't make you a woman, would it?
But it's
you
not.
That wouldn't make you a woman. You know that.
But you also
Benjamin, you know that.
But you also...
So why are you pretending you believe something you don't believe?
But I'm not pretending to be a woman.
You said that those people that man would be a woman.
Yes.
So how does he magically become a woman because he says it, but you wouldn't magically become a woman if you said it?
Because it's not as simple as saying it. It's the fact that they know this and feel this from the youngest age.
They don't know it.
Just like a gay person recognises that distinction.
But being
at a
gay
younger
is
stage.
a natural thing. You can actually be attracted to people of the same sex. That's a natural thing.
You assume that these people have all had some crazy figment in their head.
I'm saying
had
that
it in every culture,
I'm saying that it's not possible.
History.
Your body is your body. It's the one that goes with your brain. You're not born in the wrong body. You can feel like you're of the opposite sex, but you aren't the opposite sex. And saying it and using different pronouns doesn't make it true.
I don't think we're going to persuade each other before the end of these.
No, because you're not listening to fact.
This outro.
I'm not right, everyone. Has he not been very sensible and sane today?